to get a little creative here. I'm going to take some white and some pink. I'm going to mix these two together to give us a shade in the middle. So we've got a lighter shade. I'm going to make that a little lighter actually. Add more white. You can even leave it marbled if you like. And then I want a very, very, very light shade of pink. So I'm going to take a little bit of pink and a larger chunk of the white. Just work that together. And I'm looking here at this first rose I made, and I'm not liking the way that the petals are sitting, and because it's a relatively freshly made, you can still move the fondant a little bit. So I'm just going to bring this guy back over. And I just want to open these up a little bit more. There, that's better. Okay, so what we're going to do here now, we are going to take our lightest pink. We're going to make 4 balls. 1. And now my fingers are starting to get a little sticky because of handling it a lot. If I'm trying to get them to do things on the rose, I'll just dip my finger in the cornstarch, brush the excess off, and now they won't stick to your finger as much. So the reason you need 4 for the first layer is the first petal is you're going to wrap it all the way around, and then the second petal, the next 3 will make your first layer of petals, and they are going to be in the lighter shade of pink, and you want these to be a little bit bigger than your first row. We need 3 of these. And then you need at least 3, if not 4, if not 5 for the last layer that I'm going to put on. And they can be about the same size as the middle shade. Maybe a little bigger. Now with this one, what I am intentionally going to do to try and get the rose to be as close to Mother Nature as possible, I'm going to make 4, maybe I'll make 5, is when I flatten them, I'm going to take 1/2 and flatten it right almost paper thin, and then the other half I'm going to leave thick. That's the part that's going to attach to the rose. So I'm going to press them all down to begin with. And then the side that's facing you, the camera, I'm going to go and just press down quite hard just on that side, leaving the side that's towards me thicker. A rose petal is less than paper thick. So if you can duplicate that, it's harder to work with, it's harder to do the finishing touch on the rose, but practice makes perfect. You'll see the difference between this rose and this rose when I'm finished in terms of an actual likeness to a real rose. I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but these are all the very thin edges. and towards me is the thicker edge. The thicker edge is not going to be seen in the finished product. It's just the thinner edge will be. You need the thicker edge so that you can pick them up off the plastic and stick it onto your teardrop. And so I am going to take the white for a center. Just let me wrap these back up for a minute. Once you're all finished with the fondant, like you're done making your roses for the day, I wrap them 2 to 3 times in plastic wrap, making sure there's no air in there whatsoever. And I put them in a Tupperware container and put them in the cupboard. If you don't do that, the next time you open them, they're going to be crusty and dried out a little bit around the outer edges, and you're actually going to have to cut them off with a knife and throw them away because you can't do anything with those. Okay, so as before, I have my teardrop. I have my little ones. The first one is going to wrap all the way around. So I'm going to take the thin side up, the thick side down, and I'm going to put it higher on the teardrop this time because I want that teardrop to be basically buried. I just want to see a tiny little bit of white when I'm finished. So I'm just going to wrap that right around and then pinch so that the white's in there, but it's down below. And then the next 3 of the lighter shade. Start at the back, stick the bottom on, and you can see how it's sticking to my finger a little bit there. And then this is going to close the first layer of petals. And I want these to be a little bit on the tight side. So I'm going to use my fingers and thumb to just go around. And as I'm pinching it into the bottom to make it stick more, I'm closing the rosebud itself a little bit. And then my next layer is the next shade of pink. I'm going to put 3 of those on, thin side up, thick side down. And then, same idea, going to go around. And just close the bottom of the petals. And now my last layer, I'm going to make sure they're nice and thin on the one edge. Now, what I'm going to do with this one is, when I come back in a few days, is I'll have some green. I'll make some green, and we're going to end up making like a centerpiece for a dessert platter or your table. Now, the teardrop was sticking to the marble, so if you want it to spin easier, you just put a little bit of cornstarch down there. And like I said, you don't have to use all of the petals that you made. If you get them on there and you're happy with the way they look, then stop wherever you are. Now this guy's too big, it's hanging too high. I'm just going to peel it back a bit and tug down on it so it closes up a bit. And I think I'm probably going to use all of them on this one, just by what I see happening here. Yes, I am. Okay, so now we want to just gently go around the bottom and make sure that all of the petals are stuck and they will not fall off. Don't worry about what the flower looks like yet. We'll be coming back to that. And then again with the toothpicks. quite a bit this time. This is going to be an older rose. And then I'm going to do a little bit of texture on the next layer in with the toothpicks. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to just bend it back just a little bit. And then I'm just going to go and put some of those dents back in like I did on the other rose. Not a lot. And then we're going to pinch that off again. Cut it off. And we're going to put that there. Now I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to make a few more roses so that I have more to work with when we come back in a day or two to make our centerpiece. Okay, so here we have the finished roses. One of the far back here is the first one I made. Very little detail in the petals. Didn't use a whole lot of toothpick or bending the petals back, just laid them on the rose. And that's a very first natural rose to make. But as we kept going, a little bit more detail around the edges, folding the petals back, using a toothpick, using my fingers, using my paring knife, and just to get creative, going from light to dark and dark to light. And these are just little rose buds. So we have everything from very young rose, very plain rose, an older rose, much older rose, and a medium age rose. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I enjoy making these things. You can do it. Play-Doh, marzipan, Australian rolled fondant, modeling chocolate, whatever you can get your hands on. And just practice, practice, practice. And if it doesn't work, smash your rose, work it all back together again, make it into little balls, and off you go. So thanks for excuse me. Thanks for watching Chef Glen's Kitchen. Until next time, happy rose making.